we are back to working on the strawberry shortcake murder. Today we are making the 4th recipe in the book called the Cocoa Snaps. It is this one right here. It's a pretty short recipe. Obviously, it's like a page and a half. We are chilling the dough for at least an hour to overnight before you bake it. We are going to need 1.5 cups of melted butter, that's 3 sticks, 2 cups of cocoa powder, unsweetened, 2 cups of brown sugar, 3 large eggs beaten, just whip them up in a glass with a fork, 4 teaspoons of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, 3 cups of flour, not sifted, 1/2 cup of white sugar, and a small bowl for later. So you're basically just gonna mix everything up, let it chill, scoop them out, bake them off, let them cool for a couple minutes, and then onto a wire rack. The only little anecdote in this is that Tracy says these taste like her favorite chocolate animal crackers, except better because she doesn't have to pick them out from all the vanilla ones in the box. Okay, so let's get in the kitchen and get started. Okay, so here is everything we are going to need for today, including the extra sugar. So we already have our melted butter in our bowl, and to this we are going to add the 2 cups of cocoa. Once we've got the butter and the cocoa in the bowl, we're just going to start mixing it. It says we want this well blended before we add the brown sugar. All right. Looks nice and even. Now we just add the brown sugar, mix that in. All right, so now it says to let it cool for a few minutes before adding in the eggs. That obviously will depend on where you are. Where I am right now, it is very, very cold. So I do not think it will take more than a minute for this to cool down. So now we are just going to add in our 3 eggs that mixed together. All right, now we are going to add our 4 teaspoons of baking soda, teaspoon of salt, and 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. We're gonna get that all mixed up. It actually looks right now like brownie batter. And now we are going to add in our 3 cups of flour. It doesn't say to add them in separately, so we're just gonna dump them in. And start this very slowly. Couple of pulses. And that mixed in. Okay. Just gonna try to scrape this up by hand a little bit and make sure there's no hidden pockets. But I think for the most part, other than on the beaters, it's blended. It is heavy and it is thick. So one thing about this recipe that's going to come into play after it chills is that it says to scoop and bake pretty much. So what I'm gonna do is I'll scoop them out, put them on a tray, put them in the fridge. I'll show you how many we get, and then I'll pop them back in the fridge as I bake each tray off. That way we can still see how much we get out of the individual batches. That is what our dough looks like, by the way. Okay, so now to the fridge for 1 hour. We will see you then. It has been an hour. I've got my oven preheating to 350. Now it says we are going to scoop these out, roll them in the 1/2 cup of white sugar, and then put them on a greased cookie sheet, 12 to a standard sheet, and then flatten them down. I'm using the silicone mats on some, but I have a feeling I will be getting out the cooking spray for some other trays because this seems like a lot. It doesn't have a yield rate, so we will figure that out. So we're gonna scoop them, roll them, put them on the trays. I'll show you the first tray that gets done. And then after that, I'm just gonna make them and pop them in the fridge. I'll lay them out so we can see all of them, and they'll go back in the fridge while I bake. So let's get started on that. Get our scooper. It actually feels really soft. Like, I'm surprised with how soft that feels after an hour in the fridge. So this is definitely one that could sit longer if you really want to. Because some of the times they say let them sit overnight, and they're really hard. They gotta like warm up before you can scoop them or mess with them. I don't think I'm going to flatten them just because the bottoms are already flattened. It kind of seems pointless to go ahead and flatten them some more. There is our first tray done. So we are finally done scooping and rolling and flattening and sugaring and all that. We ended up with 77 cookies. So there is quite a lot. If you don't need that much, I would make a half a batch for sure. So now we're gonna stick them in the 350-degree oven for 10 minutes, and we're gonna let them cool for 2, and then we'll put them on a wire rack. Here we are, all 77 cookies. You'll notice there is a difference between this batch and the rest. These ones I just scooped and dropped in the sugar, and these ones I actually rolled up and then rolled them in the sugar. Okay, so here is the final cookie, the Cocoa Snap. I do get animal cracker. It's not sweet. It's not very sweet at all. Even after rolling it in the sugar, it's not very sweet. Is it good? Yes. Could I eat a lot? Probably not. If you like dark chocolate, you're probably gonna like these a lot. But I don't like dark chocolate very much. They are good. They do make a lot. I would definitely 7 cookies is a lot. If it's just for your family or something like that, I would totally half it. They did take some time to make because they did have to chill for a little bit. Next week, we are making the Hawaiian flan, which I've never had flan before, so I'm not sure how Hawaiian is going to fit into it. Don't know. We will figure that out next week if you're interested in joining us at the cookie jar. Bye guys.